Okay, step two, the resining part. When you get to step two, you're already done with the model. You put it together, everything's the way you want it to be. The next step is the resin. Um, I buy the Bondo fiberglass resin. For me, I just like using it. It's the cheapest that I found. Go to Walmart. Don't go to like any hardware store, or you will get ripped off. Make sure that every resin that you buy, or every little, what is it? I don't know. I guess I bought the 30 or the 39 ounce or whatever. Well, make sure it always comes with the hardener. If you don't have the hardener, the resin won't work. Um, there's a couple supplies you're gonna have to have. Supply number one, you're gonna need gloves. You don't want to get that stuff on your hands because it is a pain to get off. You'll need lots of disposable brushes. These come in handy. Also remember that take your time on this stage. If you rush and you get resin everywhere and it globs, it's a pain to fix. It's a lot more sanding that you have to do. So take your time, even if it takes multiple layers. The next thing that you need are these little plastic cups. I like to use these to mix the resin in. I usually fill it up about halfway, and then depending on the weather, depends on how many droplets of the hardener that you use. Right now it is 80 degrees outside, so I'm going to roughly use probably 10 to 12 drops per half little cup of resin. Um, a good reminder is if you do use the cheap cups, when the resin starts curing, it heats up. So you want to double up on the cups, maybe triple it, or eventually the resin will actually melt through the cups and you'll get resin on whatever you're using. Um, Also, make sure you do it outside. If you do it inside without the right ventilation or the right respirators, you can die. So that's a pretty good thing to watch out for because death sucks. Um, that's most of the supplies that you do need. I don't like resing the helmet straight on. Like, I like to prop the helmet up. So what I like to do is I grab an old used up box that I had pop in. I like to roll it up, and then I will grab some duct tape because you want to make a base. So then you could do the outside the helmet in like a 360-degree angle. It will cut. It will help out and cut cost, especially on gloves. And I just find it a lot easier to do that. Um, so yeah, that's what I like to do. Everyone has their own individual thing that they like. I just happen to like it doing it this way. And the only reason I like to do it this way, like I said, it's nice if you have a base to prop the helmet off the ground. It will save you on gloves. It will save you on time. And time is something I don't have a lot of with working. Next, the reason why I do this is because, like I was saying, I like to put the helmet on this, so when I actually glue this to a cardboard base, you could easily resin completely around without ever having to touch the helmet and getting resin on the glove, because once that resin starts hardening, the gloves are garbage as much as the brushes are. The next step I like to do is I take the tabs from the pop box and I like to hot glue them onto the tube. And the reason why I do this is so when I glue it to the box, it has a base that will stand up when the resin is curing. And also make sure you do this on a hot day, and don't do it in a... If you do it in a garage, make sure there's tons of fans blowing, and make sure that you're wearing a respirator, because if you don't, you will feel the effects, and it does not feel good. And if you keep it up, you could die, or cause really bad damage. There's also other ways you could actually, there's other things you could do. You don't have to use fiberglass resin. You could also use smooth cast, which I have not used, but it's a 2-part epoxy that you mix up in cups and you put it on. It's almost like a plastic, well, it is like a plastic finish, and it is very nice to do or to have. Okay, after this, you want to take your base or whatever you're going to do it on, which I'm going to do it on a box. And let's move some stuff around because I don't have room to do this. Okay. It doesn't really matter how you put this on. Duct tape will work just fine. Hot glue would work just fine. It's your preference. I'm going to use both. And also, I don't like doing this on a windy day because the wind could blow the helmet. And if it blows it off your base and it hits concrete or anything, all that work is kind of wasted because when that resin starts curing, it will start stiffening up and become very brittle if dropped. And I've had the Mark III do that to me because I was kind of impatient and I wanted to get it done as fast as I could, and it really didn't work out for me. I ended up using that as a tester helmet, and I wasted a lot of time on it, but the time that you do waste, you will actually gain some skill on that and learn what you can and cannot do, especially when you're in the Bondo stage. Because if you've never Bondoed before, your instinct is just to put as much as you can and try to sand it, and that's wrong. You do that, you're going to waste a lot more time and a lot more money trying to fix and try to find these detail lines. Okay, so that's the base. The next step is to go outside and resin. So next step, outside. Okay, now you go outside. First thing you want to do is make sure you clean off all the excess hot glue bits. Next, you want to grab your cups, pour resin in. I put 3 cups in here because, like I said, when it heats up, it will melt the cup. Make sure you grab your hardener, your paintbrushes, your gloves. Where are your gloves? Grab your gloves because you don't want this on your skin. I prefer to resin in the shade compared to the sun. You do it in the sun, it will dry a lot faster and you will go through a lot more resin. So after you're done, like I said, I'm going to put 10 drops in there. Then I'm going to stir it up, and when you start brushing it, you just want to do small strokes. You don't want to put too much, because if you put too much, especially in these detail lines, that resin will cake in there, and when it hardens, you'll lose these detail lines. So make sure when it's on this stage, you take your time, but hurry up. It doesn't make sense until you do it, but until you actually do it and experience it yourself, you don't know what I'm talking about. So the next stage I won't be videotaping because I can't resin and do this at the same time, or you won't be able to hear me with the respirator on. So hopefully it comes out good, and then I'll show you all the result after I am done with the first coat. After you're done resining it, it should look something like this. The next step is take it out of the shade and put it in the sun, and hopefully in the next 20 minutes to an hour, depending on heat and how much hardener I put in, it should be pretty solid. So hopefully soon, once it's dry, I could do the inside. So hopefully I'll be back when it is ready for the inside. Okay, I just got done applying the second coat of resin. The first coat was on the outside of the helmet, and the second coat was on the inside of the helmet. When the first coat dries, it is okay to take off the supports on the inside so you have more room to work on, and that is pretty much it for step number 2. Step number 3, which will be in the next video, will be how to put fiberglass cloth on the inside to make your helmet a lot stronger and more durable. So until video number 3, I'll see all of you later, and if you have any questions or comments, write them below and I will try to get back to them in a timely fashion later.